Feeling like there's too much going on with custom classes? Feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, I'm here to clear up a few things today for you guys. Just going over a little more in depth, slightly advanced video of how setting up presets are in Tarkov Arena because they've just added a brand new system. If you guys haven't known, for the new patch when Tarkov wipe happened. So we're just going to dive right into it. So I'm going to start with Assault and then work my way down through Enforcer, Scout, and Marksman. I'm not going to go through like really huge specifics, but I'm going to show you a general rule of thumb on how I like to build my classes. This will vary depending on your play style. But before we get started, one thing I want to let you guys know, it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see like a little green kind of triangle that shows you, but if you right click and inspect a weapon that you've been playing with, you can select this leveling tab and it will unlock weapon attachments for free. These are things that I think by default are just free in general, but you do have to unlock them. With the AK-12, you can really unlock these PRS Gen 3s super quickly. You can just play a couple last hero matches. That's really how I have leveled up my weapons. The most important thing when it comes to creating a custom preset is getting it within this green area. It doesn't really matter as much for each individual like firepower, defense, and utility. It really comes down to your meta score at the end here and getting that right into that little green area that we want our overall class to be. You obviously have to still get your green for all these three subcategories, but overall we want to be right at the edge of that 1300 mark. As close as we can get, so that way we can use the class inside of matches. That's up to you guys if you want to copy and paste this class I put together. The AK-12 is nice because you unlock those attachments really quick. I'm just going to go ahead and start off by putting the gun in there. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some armor as well. I really like the trooper armor, very light, versatile, and still gives you good protection. We got, it doesn't show here, but it does have level 3 soft armor as well. So most of the time people aren't going to be shooting you on the side. Next in the tab here, we got eyewear. I like the crossbows because we got 30% protection. Obviously, John B's are, the coolest, probably the best looking ones. I'm not going to spend the GP on it just yet. But we're going to throw some crossbows in there. Helmet, I love the U-Lock, one of the best helmets in my opinion. You can choose whatever other helmet you want in here. Again, doesn't really matter too much, other than being able to hear and get, level 4 protection. I like that it protects the ears here. We're also going to go ahead and select a headset. I like the TAC Sports. You can choose, again, whatever ones you want. If you want to do ComTac 4s, you can. Just remember that we're sacrificing some of that MP, so the meta points or meta score, for our overall green that we want to get here. For face mask here, I'm just going to go and throw on, I'm going to buy the ghost here. I'm going to go ahead and toss that guy in. So we also want a tactical rig. I'm just going to choose this one. Looks decent. Okay, and so the main reason we set this stuff up first is because we're going to start kind of fine-tuning things as we go. I'm going to go ahead and start modifying my weapon here. You can select, I like the SE5, it has good recoil and ergo. I like a high ergo weapon with relatively low recoil just because I like to be able to move around really fast and shoot my weapon and just kind of push people. So this kind of allows me to have that type of play style. AK-12 is very straightforward for a gun to build too because it's very limited on attachments, especially the silencer. You just straight up have to throw on, the AK-12 silencer. There's no other silencer. It's just one. There's only 2 attachments for that muzzle. We only have one spot for the rail on the side here for a laser. I usually just like to throw on this guy, whatever, the MAWL. I just think it looks really cool, but it has an IR laser so people can't see it, but you still shoot completely straight. I don't think we can throw on anything. Yeah, I don't obviously want to put my sight on the front here. XPS2. If you don't have that XPS2, make sure you kind of save up for that. I definitely need to get this charging handle. So make sure you save maybe some GP so you can throw on maybe a few attachments if you have some. We just want to keep the default buffer tube that's on there already. We get a -3 recoil with no detriments, which is huge. So there's no point to throw in a different buffer tube. CTR is very good. This Magpul CTR carbine stock, because we get high ergo, pretty good recoil. You know, if you really want to reduce the recoil, go for the PRS Gen 3s. Coming down to the pistol grip, usually you want like a +12. +12 is pretty much the highest you can go for AK pistol grips. Other than this, you know, +14. Once you complete a couple weeklies, you know, unlock that with some GP. That should be pretty useful. Make sure whenever you're going back or you're hitting escape, you're always saving the changes. If you hit no, it will literally delete all of the mods and things that you did to the class. Just go ahead and save it so that way you can at least start from where you left off. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty rough trying to put that stuff back together sometimes. But already, as you can see here, you know, without really putting too much thought into it, we're already at 63 vertical, which is pretty good for an AK, especially for the AK-12. We got 53 ergo, really low weight. So you can just really whip around corners with this weapon, push people, and again, not really worry too much about how this gun handles because it's just super versatile, especially with 700 RPM. All right, so after we finish up the weapon, we're going to add some meds in. So it starts by default with an IFAK and a few other meds like a Calic. I think a Calic is pretty nice. But if you have the rubles, I definitely use Propital as your main painkiller because this painkiller is just, it's so strong and it just lasts, you know, the whole match and gives you passive health regen. The only other one that I really like to use is this, however you say it, the blue blood stim, because this actually prevents and stops bleeds. So if you have 2 heavy bleeds and 1 light bleed, it takes 2 seconds, you pop the stim and all bleeds are stopped, and then you don't have to worry about bleeding, you know, for 60 seconds, and it gives you some passive regen. And then I also just like to throw in an alu splint, aluminum splint. It's not really necessary because of the use of Propital and, you know, the blue blood back to back should not really cause you to take too much damage, even if your legs have fractures in them. It's just in case you want to go ahead and just patch that leg really quick. All right, so now we're going to get into magazines for the AK-12. I typically recommend the AK-12 old, just the best ergo, load, unload, speed modifiers are all very quick. It's the quickest and best magazine for this weapon. You could do 45 rounders if you really want to, but I find 30 rounders to be pretty comfortable still. But it's kind of what I'm used to. So you can see here the meta score is 170 per mag. Once you get to the actual rounds of the weapon, we can start to see that this is really where the meta score really starts to jump. If I just put 16 rounds of 7 and 40 in here, you can see how it goes from 8,689 to now 11,000. So that's quite a huge jump. So that means I'm not going to really have a ton of 7 and 40, which is the best round you can have as an AK class with assault. So I'm going to remove the magazine from that AK-12 there, put another one in. It's easy math. It's 90 bullets total. In some other games, you only have 90 bullets throughout the entire match. And in reality, you know, your bullets refresh after each round is over. So if you do the math, you won't really need over 90 bullets typically, or 120 bullets. Just because that's a lot. You know, you should really be killing people pretty quick with the quality of ammunition that we're putting into the magazines in the first place. So here's a couple tips from what I've found. Me and my friends that have been playing Arena, shout out to Caleb that I typically play with. He was able to tell me that if you, like, let's say we layer a round or a mag with 15 BT, so that's 15 at the bottom of the magazine, and then we just, you know, layer the rest with another 15, 7, and 40. If I really want that magazine, a duplicate, you can literally right click it after you put rounds inside of it, and you can hit duplicate. So typically you can duplicate this, but it says that there's no space for this item. I don't know if this rig is glitched. I don't know. Let's try a different rig really quick. Let's just try a Blackrock. It's whatever. Let's just throw that. That's really weird. Maybe it's the AK-12 specifically. The AK-12 mag. No space. I definitely have space for this item. I don't know. That's an odd glitch. I'm not really sure how to fix that. Anyways, most of the time you can just duplicate a magazine that you've layered. But the way this works is actually pretty nice because I can just load the full mags with all 7 and 40. Make sure you throw a round into the chamber of the weapon. We're getting pretty close to the edge here, to almost the 13,000 mark. Now you can also, in Assault, you can change the front plate to a tier 5 armor. As we can see here, you know, even though we're in the green in all 3 of these subcategories, because of the ammunition and now this tier 5 plate, now we're a little over the mark. We can save this, you know, armor, and we can start, you know, removing some of the magazines or rounds inside of the magazine. So that way you can identify how to get closest to that 13,000 mark. Now you could be really nitpicky here and just find, you know, which one is going to give you the best weight value for your armor points. We can see this one, it gives me minus weight. This helps me have better rounds having tier 4 armor in my front and back plate, which I don't mind. You know, if somebody good that I'm playing against is going to shoot at me, typically it's going to be a headshot and I'm going to die really fast, even if I'm wearing a U-lock. So, you know, with the trooper armor, it's up to you if you want tier 4. And then when we get into the other classes, things will work slightly differently, but it's relatively the same concept. I refreshed my, you know, my previous save that I have here, and I do have slightly different attachments onto this AK, just because it still gives me, you know, decent ergo. I think it's actually a little bit better. But, you know, when it comes down to the magazines, I think I was able to layer them in a specific way. You can see I have some BT in here. And I have my primary round is 7 and 40. It doesn't say it, so that's the slightly unfortunate part. I'll show you a little tip to see how many rounds you might have layered your magazines with. But I do have tier 5 armor in my front plate here. Oh, and then I put my back plate as tier 3. Because typically people shouldn't really be shooting you in the back. You should be fighting people head on most of the time. And then here you can see with my other assault class, I put tier 5 armor in the front. I have 4 in the back. And an RD 704 with Propital, the blue blood. And then I sacrificed my IFAK for a car just because you won't usually be getting hit and needing to heal very much. You'll be healing your head, your thorax. You're not really going to be healing your arms and everything because those will just regen over time with the Propital and aren't as important as obviously your head and your thorax. Like I said before, this is my playstyle where I prioritize high damage, high pen value rounds so I can hit my headshots and get on with my life instead of having to deal with hitting multiple rounds onto somebody and waiting for them to die. If you guys would like to see any of these classes so you can copy and paste them, let me know in the comments down below and I can create a few YouTube shorts to show you exactly what I have for each of my classes so you can literally just copy them into your custom presets if you really want them. Moving on to Enforcer, I made a AUG A1 class. Here's a brief overlook. AUGs are very, very simple to put together. They don't take a whole lot, because you can't really put a whole lot onto the attachments of the weapon. But once you kind of put it together, you can see I have tier 5 armor here. I changed it. It was tier 6 before, but I like how this armor gives you tier 3 neck protection, and you can keep the side plates, the left and right plates in if you want to. Those you can remove to help save some of that meta score. I have these rounds layered with 855 and SOST rounds just to get as close as I can to that 13,000 mark. And we can get that a little bit closer and I'll kind of show you guys. And see here, we could duplicate the mag. and so this is what it actually looks like. You can duplicate it and it just copies and pastes an exact version. I'm not sure why it was glitched on in the other class. But one tip, if I really want to see like I said earlier, how my mags are layered. I can go hit this little eyeball at the top right corner of my preset, and I can hover over the rounds here, and I can see how many rounds of each that I have inside of this class. So I have 3 magazines, 15 rounds of 8.55, and those are evenly spread between each magazine. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that means I have 5 rounds at the bottom of each magazine, just so I can fill that magazine completely. You know, the other 25 bullets are filled with SOST rounds. Now with Enforcer, you know, you don't have, you have a few more limited options. You can also additionally add in LMGs. You can throw in a few submachine guns, not very good submachine guns, lots of shotguns. There's a lot of people that have been running the KS-23M, going for leg meta, just trying to, you know, use shrap 20s or shrapnel 10s and just completely one-shot people from, you know, over 30 meters away in the leg, which is kind of crazy. But, you know, typically you're just going to want to go after what your play style is. Like I said, mine is just quick clears. But Enforcer is good for its better armor and being able to have tier 6 plates if you really wanted it. But you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of ammunition or med items potentially. And when we go to Scout, the thing that we have to sacrifice is being able to access tier 5 armor. You can only have up to tier 4, but you do get better rounds. We have 8.55A1. When we look at the class here, you know, majority of my magazines have 8.55, you know, maxed out as much as I can. Again, over 4 magazines, 30 rounds of SOST, which are at the bottom. The rest is 8.55A1. So pretty solid class. Again, we see the cars layered here. We only have access to tier 3 helmets. The thing I'll point out too is, please guys, please use this, because some of you guys look the exact same in some of your presets, and you all look, you know, like little hatchlings. Really, just hit the view button on the top left here, so that way you guys don't have to look like newbies, and you can just choose whatever, you know, scav clothing you want. It's kind of silly because they give you access to the USEC, you know, standard gear here. So I think it's kind of silly how I've purchased, you know, a few clothing options with real life money to support the game, and I don't have access to use clothing that I've purchased, where this is literally the best opportunity, like I said in my last video, to, like, please let me use my clothing in custom presets. Please, I'm begging you. I'm sure it'll come, but please give me access to that. Now, Marksman is pretty crazy. You do not have access to any kind of full auto weapon other than the VSS. I highly recommend to look into the VSS once you are able to complete a couple weekly tasks, because the Marksman has the best rounds you could possibly get in the game are accessed through Marksman. The biggest trade-off is you cannot use any helmet. Helmets are just not available for Marksman. You can only access up to tier 4 armor, but that really lets you allocate a lot of your meta score into rounds. And you can see with this SR25 kit that I've put together, I have, you know, it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but 40 rounds of M61 is a really good chunk, and that just goes straight through tier 6 armor. So this SR25 kit is pretty solid. The gun is pretty simple to put together. Play a few last hero matches. You know, if you're able to get quite a few kills, then you're able to put this together really quickly and just get that max level and all the attachments for it. I like to label a lot of my classes with just the weapon name because it makes it really easy to see which one to use. The best part about these custom presets is that it gives you a lot of variety. When you're going into you know, a preset, you can also hit save, and I can type in main AK-12. I can save that. The best part is that I think that these presets hopefully get saved and transferred over to the main game. So if you really like a weapon and a loadout that you're playing with, even like a full preset that you're probably playing with, hopefully we can just copy and paste that over to your mannequins and onto your character in the main game. I think the addition of custom presets is awesome because I can really fine tune my weapons. You know, this MPX that I've been able to level up and put together has just been a lot of fun to play around with. You can quickly get into a last hero match most of the time and just try out brand new weapons. You know, it doesn't even matter what weapon you want to try. You can, instead of being afraid to try things like you sometimes are, like I have been, in the main game in the past before Arena. It's like, why would I try anything other than the AUG, the AK-12? Why would I use anything else other than the things that I'm comfortable with? Now we can experiment with things inside of Arena, which is huge, especially for new players. But I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope that you've been able to learn how to effectively put together these custom presets. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot, especially since I'm such a small channel still. I'll be pumping out more content like this for you guys, more tricks and tips between the main game and Arena. I'm streaming on Twitch. If you guys ever have questions for me, I typically stream mostly in the evenings. But have a great rest of your day, you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.